Ready?
Yeah, we're recording.
We are. Good. We're recording. I'm recording. We're all recording. Welcome to the XFL Markcast. It's like week 21 of this stuff when we haven't even had any games played in the XFL, but we're covering other things this week as well as the XFL. We got some good stuff on tap on the Google Doc, which is 3 pages again for some reason. I don't know. And
I see what you did today. We're recording far earlier than we normally do. And I think Paul thought if he could get me on this morning to record, I would stop adding things to the Google Doc to talk about today. So I know what you did. He texted me this morning. He goes, let's record now. Because then I don't.
I look like I've got a full day of work and other stuff ahead of me. So I was just like, let's record now. I'm awake. I'm wide awake. I'm not angry. My blood sugar's fine. We're in a good place. Except when I saw 3 pages in the Google Doc.
I did give you fair warning. I texted Paul last night. I said, I'm just giving you a heads up. There's a lot of stuff today we got to cover. There really is a lot of news. There's not a lot of filler stuff. I think you would agree that it's mostly all good stuff. And so I just letting you know there's a lot of stuff to go through today.
And if anybody decides to comment in the YouTube comment section about my hat, realize I've had this hat since 2014. And yes, I am celebrating James Harden. I don't appreciate your fat shaming memes on Twitter, people. It's not funny. It's not cute. You can make fun of many other things that James Harden does, like frequent strip clubs every other night. You can make fun of that. You can make fun of the fact that he went to Arizona State. I don't care. Let's not fat shame, okay? Let's not fat shame.
Speaking of feedback, that is my number one thing today. And then I don't want to bury the lead. We have something else very exciting that just came. But that was great last week. We had, a little bit of lively banter in the YouTube. So I'm telling people, fans of the show, if you want to leave comments on the YouTube, even if you're disagreeing with Paul, that's okay. Or XFL Markcast, just the name of the podcast, at gmail.com. That comes, if you have like feedback, if you have stuff, preferably not like negative feedback, but if there's things that maybe you want us to cover, or if you have like ideas or, ideas for the garbage segment or whatever, we'll get into all that. But yeah, I would like more feedback. I thought that was really fun. Paul was arguing with people. That's always great.
One person, and he was wrong, and I proved he was wrong.
Well, yeah, I thank you for listening. Thank you.
So basically, if you have any Arizona Cardinals news, we're going to put it in the garbage segment. Moving on.
It was
Phoenix Cardinals. I'm sorry, not Arizona, but Phoenix Cardinals.
Yeah, was that Mike? I don't want to bury the lead of who was our wonderful commenter. I'm trying to pull him.
That was, but he was like, we sell out games at State Farm Stadium all the time, and then I posted the actual attendance numbers from not the media guide. He's like, oh, I guess you're right. I am. I know.
Why can't? Oh, here we go. I'm clearing the. No, hang on. Vamp for just a second. I'm getting the.
So basically what's going on is we're going to get more merchandise up at Moxie. Oh, well, I should say xflshow.com/merch.
Mike, thank you for your comment, Mike. Yes.
It directs you to moxiecash.com. But if you want the specific XFL show merch, xflshow.com/merch to get your hands on that. So basically we're going to put some new t-shirts. We got to redesign the logo a little bit. We're putting the t-shirts back up. I'm going to get to that this weekend because I've got some free time on my hands.
The sweatshirts are great. We got the sweatshirts. They're great.
It's good. They do fit a little small, right? Or a little big?
There's the medium is a medium. So if you are, I would get a size up, but they're great. I got one for my mom for Christmas. I got one for Dorothy. Dorothy and I are like those weirdos now that match, and we walk around the house and we're wearing the same clothes.
I'm waiting for next year's Christmas card. I really am.
Yes. So to bury the lead, we're not going to open it now because you tell me when the proper time is to do this. Now it's been raining in Seattle. Speaking of merch, yes, so I don't check the mail a lot when it rains. It's I don't leave my house. But I went and got the mail last night, and longtime fans of the show will know. We have it's got my address on it, but we've got the Chinese bootleg. Paul's Zoom has frozen. We have the Chinese bootleg PJ Walker Roughnecks jersey that came in the mail it could have come in the mail.
I'm not going to show my address, but then the label just shut up.
Well, it didn't. Anyway, this could have come days ago, but it came. So you tell me when we're going to open this on the show. Fans have been waiting. I ordered this the same day I ordered my Carolina Panthers PJ Walker jersey. This is It's like a replica. It's a Houston Roughnecks with PJ Walker's number and name on it. So we'll see how it goes. You tell me when the appropriate time is to open it. But
I'll tell you when it is. I have it pinpointed out.
I got my scissors. I've never done. I watch a lot of unboxing videos in my time, just people that know me personally, but I've never actually done an unboxing myself. So very excited to do that on the show. Sorry, Paul.
Cool. All right. So let's go on. Let's get on with the show, shall we?
Yeah.
So we have 3 pages of Google Doc stuff to get through. All right.
Hammer through.
All right. Taylor Heinicke. Come on. If Washington, whatever they're going to be called next year, if Washington doesn't, let's roll the dice, Washington. Let's do it. Let's give him a year to be the starter.
I don't think they have another viable option. Smith said he doesn't know. It's a day by day. He's going to decide in the offseason. I mean, it could have been the 4 mimosas I had. This was the most incredible football game I saw all weekend.
Did you have those mimosas before 10 a.m. or 11 a.m.?
No, this was in the evening. But this was the most incredible thing. I told Dorothy, I said, Taylor's like the real life Rudy. We are going to have a Rudy Taylor, it's going to be called Heinicke or whatever, movie. This is a movie, COVID. He's at home studying finals, right? He gets the call. Hey, we need you to come on. Comes on, plays, gets the whatever. And then could you imagine? I was thinking about it. Remember that, was it Little Big League where the guy owned the baseball? He owned the Mets, right? Or the Cubs, or what was that?
He owned the Twins.
Remember? And then at the end they played the Mariners, and Ken Griffey Jr. was the bad guy, and they he went up and caught the ball at the end, and that was how the game ended. Couldn't you see Washington football this movie? And they have Tom Brady and Antonio Brown and all these guys, and they're the evil guys that are trying to fight off. I mean, I can see this as a movie.
Right. And I don't know who would be. I'm trying to see who I think Taylor Heinicke looks like, and I'm not drawing any actor comparisons.
Well, you would just do Sean Astin again, right?
No, because he's
because I told Dorothy, I go, that's the guy from Lord of the Rings. She goes, no way. And I know this is not a new joke, but I really did show it to her, and she was floored that the guy from Rudy is the same guy from Lord of the Rings.
I mean, if you're going to cast Tom Brady, it's got to be Matt Damon, right?
Okay, so because I put this in the notes. I wanted to cast this movie, but so you have Matt Damon as Tom Brady, and then who plays Gronk? Who's Gronk?
Who plays Gronk? I don't know. Good question.
But you watched the game, right?
I would say Armie Hammer, but he's got a little bit of an issue right now going on social media. I don't know if you're looking at that. But,
I don't.
Oh, it's interesting.
Okay.
We could talk about that privately.
Okay.
Oof, we're gonna keep this PG.
Okay. So maybe Armie Hammer. But do you get what I'm saying though? That this is a great sports age story for in 20, 30 years, they're gonna make this movie, and you're gonna be telling your kids or whatever. I mean, not
I'm not gonna have kids. Come on, let's be honest.
But I'm not trying to talk hyperbole here. But when they make those weird, it's the weird sports movie, and the people are oh yeah, I kind of.
It's Disney, and it's always Disney.
Yeah, right. But if we got 16 Mighty Ducks, they're bringing out Emilio again, right? He's coming back out of the whatever. I just thought this was incredible. You watched the game, right? You thought this was great.
Yeah, I think Taylor Heinicke is he's one of those players that his heart overweighs everything you could ever want from a quarterback. And it's an inspiring story. It really is. He wasn't even the starter for the Battlehawks. And look at this. This is incredible. This is a great story.
Yeah, and there was actually some talk about that this week with the XFL writers. We were talking about, why did Teamu, get that start? And I think it just really had to do with timing. Remember with the XFL, the first round, they did the whole thing where the one quarterback was signed, we had Brandon Silvers, my shirt.
Oh, and LA had Luis Perez, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then, then it was kind of politics, right? Okay, well, maybe we have another guy, but he wasn't signed. And I think that was the deal with Heinicke. He just got there later than Teamu. They decided to go with him. But I mean, clearly shows the talent level that was in the XFL that, wasn't seen necessarily.
And it's all about coaching schemes and whatnot. So there's a good chance that the St. Louis coaching team preferred Tamu in their system as opposed to Taylor Heinicke. There's a chance of that, right? We can't dispute that. I mean, look what's happening in Philadelphia right now. Doug Peterson is out.
It's crazy.
That might give Carson Wentz a second chance to not be the highest paid backup quarterback in the league. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But in terms of Taylor, his numbers were great. He had that. I mean, who can forget the he had great numbers all around, but the thing that really stood out was that diving touchdown. Like that became, everybody's like, wait, they could pull this off. They could really pull this off. And it would be on brand for 2020 for a team that finished 6-10, 7-9. Was it something like that?
It would have been like,
it would be on brand if a team with a losing record that didn't have a nickname would win as a result of 2020. That would be on brand.
Yeah, there's a shirt circulating around. I retweeted it. It's called it says the legend of Taylor Heinicke, and it's that shot, and it's him diving into it. And I don't wear a lot of t-shirts. I'm really close to buying it just to show that support, to have it on the podcast, just because it really does just exemplify everything that, we're all, people ask you, why are you guys watching XFL stuff? Why do people watch Spring League, all this? It's to get these guys that maybe didn't have a shot, right? He gets called up. I put the stats here. I mean, just astounding. He went like blow to blow with Brady the whole night. He had 352 passing yards, 2 TDs. One of those was the big, diving one, 59% completion. Brady, 55% completion, 381 yards and 2 TDs. I mean, to go and be with to be within one score. I mean, it was 8 points, but to be within one score of the Buccaneers that have, I tweeted, I said, think of all the money that they put into Brady and Gronk and Antonio and all these guys to come in to do this thing.
And they're not going to go to the Super Bowl.
No, they're not at all. They're not at all, right? I mean, do you think, I don't know. I think I'll be curious to see what happens.
The Packers are going to go to the Super Bowl.
But do you think the Saints blow the Buccaneers this weekend?
Possibly, yes. Possibly. That game is coin flip for me. I mean, the Saints owned the Buccaneers last time they played, I think, right? It was
last 2 times. They beat them twice.
Yeah. I don't see the Buccaneers getting even past the Saints. And if they do, luckily, they won't get past. The Packers are just so good. And I think people are sleeping on the Packers. I think the Packers are really good. I'm trying to think who's left in the AFC. I'm not even paying attention to the AFC.
Yeah, it's remarkable. I just think all the money, this is the big
right.
Well, Kansas City. Yeah. I mean, this is the big ride for the Buccaneers, and to think that they were within a point. And that was the thing, we had talked last week, the defense, everything. I mean, Chase really didn't have that great of a game. I mean, the defense, I think if the defense would have been able to get to Brady like they wanted and get a couple of those turnovers, I really do think the game could have been totally different. Buccaneers didn't play the best. Brady said afterward, we really didn't play the best that we thought we could. And so, yeah, it was crazy. I really, really thoroughly enjoyed that. And I thought it was a great look for the XFL.
I do have to say, though, the Washington football team, their defense was much better than that at the Capitol the other day. Ian Rappaport from Rap Sheet Ian Rappaport reported that Taylor Heinicke suffered an AC joint sprain.
Yeah, can you play this sound? This was from Twitter. This was Taylor. Yeah, I've been liking to include a little bit of this post-game sound, and this was him talking about the injury.
Yeah, so I dove in the end zone for that pylon. I reached out my arm, and when I hit the ground, I felt a little click or a pop. And, I didn't feel good after that, and the next series I got hit and hit the ground a couple of times and decided we should go in and look at it. And it was an AC joint separation. We came back out there, wanted to gut it out. And, we put everything out there on the line, but, just came up a little short.
That's Taylor Heinicke about his AC joint issue.
Yeah, because he even got pulled during the game, right? He got injured and then came back in. I mean, this really could, to have this be one of those made-for-TV movies or something, not way over the top, but this kid taking finals, gets called, goes to the NFL, 2 games in, he's off the couch, he's playing in the playoff game. I mean, it's really remarkable. I just thought kudos all around.
Completely agree. Another former XFL player had a great game this week. Of course, I was happy about this. The Browns beat the Steelers.
Beat the pants off them.
Just
beat the.
It was bad.
We were walking.
The score wasn't as close as it really was. It was really much worse than that it was.
Yeah, they let them come back. Dorothy and I were trying to get out to walk Rosie between we were watching the Nickelodeon stuff, and then we were getting on the for the Sunday night game. And I thought, man, we got to get home. So I pulled the game up on my phone as we're like walking in the door, and it was within 14 seconds, right? They had that, the missed snap and then the touchdown. I mean, I was like, man, I'm really glad I turned this game on already to see it. No, but we talked about this. Michael Dunn, formerly XFL Dragons. We talked. He got signed. I think it was last week. We talked about him getting called up, and he played in the game and had a hell of a game.
Yeah, and he finished with a Pro Football Focus grade. I don't know what the Pro Football Focus grade is. I've never seen that before, but it's 81 was his grade, and he was the fourth highest graded. Well, there's only like 4 or 5 linemen, dude. So it's not like.
Well, I copy some of this stuff from this PFF grade that's kind of been floating around. I see a lot on Twitter now. It's kind of how they're rating all the players and everything.
But, I mean, being the fourth highest graded lineman of the game of the Browns is like, okay, well, you did your job.
But he did his job off the couch. And
no, you're right. And he took 79% of the snaps, and he had a great game. I mean, that's probably where the game was really won, was by the offensive line there.
Yeah. Yeah, they said he contributed to 30 of the team's 31 attempts. They helped him rush for 192 yards. He exited the game. He's hurt. He's on the injury reserve right now. I saw. Hope that's accurate. I think he got injured. He's on the sidelines this week with an injured ankle. I tweeted well wishes. But no, it was a great job. I mean, it was good for him. I was reading this thing on the Atlantic, right? It's one of those pay-to-read websites. But he was doing like workouts in the parking lot and everything, backyard kind of stuff, getting ready for the game, trying to get in shape and get off the couch and get to do it. I mean, it's really remarkable. A lot of these guys, with 2020 and everything going on, but you're finding these guys, like Taylor, calling them up, we need people to play. It's really crazy. I mean, the Browns crushed them, and I thought that was a great showing for them too.
I completely agree. And I mean, it just goes to prove the point that spring football works. Spring football works. This is proof. I mean, what Taylor's been able to do, what PJ's been able to do, what Michael Dunn did, it works. And we should start giving more love to the spring football. I
have not seen – my Twitter was with that Taylor stuff on Saturday into Sunday with everyone. I mean, it was like everyone in the world finally woke up about Taylor Heinicke, the XFL people and the not. I mean, I've never seen anything like that across everything for days. I mean, it was really remarkable. So moving on, there is some legal stuff to deal with the XFL. First and foremost, the NFL has filed opposition to the XFL Houston Roughnecks logo. And yeah, I can see why. Well, so this broke. Paul, what is our track record with XFL news? Everything happens the day we release the podcast. Yeah. So last Friday, like 8. I swear all this stuff, like 8:35. I post the episode in the morning. But this is crazy. So basically, yeah, they're saying that the Houston Roughnecks logo looks, and hopefully we'll see that on my PJ Walker jersey here. Hopefully it's the right logo. But it looks like the Houston Oilers logo from back in the day, and it does. And I remember when they released the logo, everybody said, oh, clearly they're paying homage to the Oilers. To the Oilers. I mean, that was like a given thing. And so, and this is why, because I texted you, we got to get into this just a little bit, because a lot of people said, why now? The XFL's been around for a year. What's going on? And so Josh did a lot of research with XFL News Hub that morning to try to figure out, like, why did the NFL just file this now? And it turns out, right, that they didn't. This isn't a new thing. I mean, it's kind of new in the news, right? Yeah, it looks like it. I guess it says December 28th they filed the court documents originally. So this XFL filed this back last year, or NFL filed it when all the logos came out. The NFL filed it, and then basically it got extended twice. They do them in like 60-day windows, and then it was originally filed December 11th, 2019. Yeah. Got it. Okay. And then, so basically, when all the bankruptcy and everything happened, they let it lapse, or it wasn't going through. And so now that the XFL's back, the Rock's in charge, and all of that, the NFL is coming back now and saying that basically, I think they still sell old Houston Oilers merch. Like, I think you can get on whatever. And so that is what their thing is that they're mooching off that, And I get it, right? They're using that goodwill, even though that team hasn't existed for many, many years. There's still a nostalgia factor. I mean, what do you think about this? I know you know a little bit about trademark stuff too. I'm completely in agreement. This is
when I saw the logo, I also was like, wow, okay, I see what they're doing there. I understand what they were doing. I was like, that probably might get them in an actionable situation, but I understood why they were, playing on that history. Like you said, they still sell vintage Houston Oilers stuff. You can go on to NFL Shop and buy a Houston Oilers hat, just like you can buy a Seattle Supersonics shirt. But those shirts that are sold by like Simply Seattle have to license the logo from the NBA still. The NBA owns all those trademarks. So, this just because the Oilers aren't existing actively, their trademarks are still very much valid. So I'm completely on the NFL side on this, surprisingly, because I don't like the NFL's no fun approach to football. But I'm completely on their side on this one. I think it was a complete and utter ripoff. And it's gonna end up in the logo being changed.
Yeah, it's interesting. The Roughnecks have an alternative logo that's kind of like, it kind of looks like the Patriots guy, but he's got like a workers man hat on. It's very similar to that. So then, of course, a lot of people are saying they're going to get in trouble with that too from New England. But yeah, just putting, taking the oil derrick and putting like the H on it, or kind of like superimposing it. I mean, it's not, and believe me, we know this, right? We have our XFL Markcast logo, and then we tried to sell stuff with it, and that's where you get into trouble, right? I mean, it's one thing you could have it up on a website or whatever, but when you're trying to sell something that's intellectual property of another person, that's where you get into that fine line of how close can it be without, and clearly they did this as a throwback. I mean, there's no, Mark Perry was like, XFL News Hub. He goes, well, clearly someone must have done the research or whatever. It's like, no, they did this to make it look that way.
So with that being said, why don't you open up your jersey right now? It's a Roughnecks jersey. It's topical.
Okay. So just for context, we ordered, I don't even need the scissors. This has not been opened. I ordered this back whenever PJ played that game against, who did he beat? Oh, the Lions, when they beat the Lions. And this is straight from China. I'm sorry, I'm hitting the mic. Okay. All right. So we've got the one bag off. This is looking promising. I didn't know. So this is from artfire.com. I got a lot of people asking me like, where'd you get it? What's your luck? What's whatever. This is looking really good. There's some bonus like stuff on here. Sorry, this is terrible. If you want to watch the video of this, you can go to xflshow.com/YouTube. This is terrible podcasting right now. All right.
Yeah. Terrible for audio purposes.
Yeah, terrible for audio.
I at least hope the Roughnecks thing is in the middle, not off center.
What do you think, Paul?
Okay. Looks centered. There you go. All right. Not bad.
I think it looks pretty good.
Microphone.
Yeah, rubbing the mic. No. I mean, it's a little. I mean, the patchwork's a little. It's got some frayed whatever, but I mean, shoot, I don't think you would walk down the street and anybody would say that this was a problem.
Good.
Yeah.
As on the back, Yankees fans don't agree with that, but
see, you got the right.
There's
I mean, that's
yeah. Look at Ike. I don't know if Reid can do this, but maybe Reid can superimpose during this moment right now. Put the Houston Oilers logo up and just show the difference between the two logos, because it's too similar, and it's definitely a nice jersey.
Yeah, you got PJ Walker on the back. It's a medium.
Medium or a medium? I
mean, it's a little thin, right? Like it's a little thin. It's stitched on, but it's definitely like a thinner. But I think it's great. And then I've got some they put some patches in here. I don't know what these patches are.
This is interesting. I'm curious. The patches.
It's Raiders inaugural 2020 Las Vegas Raiders patches. Cool. And a Super Bowl, whatever this Super Bowl is this year. Is it 55? I don't know, 54.
54. So that would be last year's Super Bowl, I believe.
There you go. I mean, this is crazy. This is great. I'm going to put this on today. This looks great.
That's this year's Super Bowl.
Yeah. I mean, the patchwork on the back, I mean, the numbers got, I mean, if you want to be OCD Reid, there's a couple of tiny little issues, but I would say for the $32 I spent on that with shipping.
You're never not OCD Reid.
Well, I know, but I tell you, artfire.com, I'll send you the link. Send me an email, xflmarkcast.com or xflmarkcast@gmail.com, and I'll send that. That was great.
Cool. All right, let's blow through this other legal stuff that we got going on here. XFL, according to court docs, was never interested in Johnny Manziel.
Yeah, this is, Manziel's obviously in the news with all the fan control football stuff. He was down in Texas last week shooting promo videos with Ray Austin. This is all coming out as part of the other story we have to cover is Vince McMahon is countersuing Oliver Luck now for the wrongful termination and all of that. And remember, we've been covering the cell phones, getting the passwords, Oliver Luck stuff and all that. And in that, that discovery, it's come out that Vince sent a lot of really bad texts about Oliver Luck talking to Johnny Manziel. Do you want to read any of those or do you want me to read those?
I'm trying to see if I can catch up here.
So McMahon.
Okay, how long are you going to play this game, Oliver? There's no chance in hell for Manziel to play for us. I will not change my mind. So what's your plan?
Which is, okay, here's a real question, though. Do you really think that Vince texts like no chance in hell? Like, is Vince that big of a Vince Mark?
Yeah, I think he is. That's the thing. Like, Vince doesn't like to get credit on WWE TV, but he programs the WWE product for a one-person audience, himself.
Yes.
So, yes, I do believe Vince is secretly a mark for himself.
Because Vince is literally like texts his own catchphrase. Like, that's the joke.
Like his song, his theme song and everything. It's like no chance in hell.
So Luck texts back, Vince, we have no intention of signing him. We're just milking the story to stay in the news. I'm happy to rule him out. I mean, I get it, right? They got I remember when all this was going on. I remember all of this, the summer showcases. They got a lot of publicity for the fact that Johnny Manziel was on there. But Vince didn't want, and we have more info about this today too with the Antonio Callaway stuff, but Vince didn't want any guys that had like questionable backgrounds to be in the XFL, and that has to do with Johnny Manziel as well and some of his past stuff.
And here's what I think is the reason why Vince didn't want this, because Vince, I'm trying to think of a way to phrase this. Vince didn't want people that had character issues because he didn't want the league to be challenged. Like the NFL's been challenged by the Colin Kaepernick situation and many other players. He didn't want this league to be challenged politically by its players the way the NFL has. So I think that was the whole reason why this was put into place. And of course, you mentioned Antonio Callaway. He was suspended for 10 games in 2019 for a substance abuse policy. We're not sure. Do we know what the substance was that he was busted for? Because if you have Adderall in your system and you can't find your prescription, then you're busted for a substance abuse policy, even if you are prescribed it.
Well, I'm going to look into that. Yeah, because this goes into it too. Possession of marijuana.
Okay.
So, so basically there's a lot to dive through here, but basically Vince, there's a lawsuit going on. Vince fired Oliver. Oliver says for wrongful termination, he's suing for his money. Now, Vince is countersuing, saying that Oliver Luck owes about $500,000 back to the XFL. Vince is trying to make the XFL whole. It's not going back to Vince. It's going to the XFL fund. And part of that has to do with the money that the league spent to hire Antonio Callaway, which is also we're going to talk a little bit more about him later. But yeah, so the Antonio Callaway thing, and it was the fact that Oliver Luck kind of wasted the time and resources doing all of that. That was kind of the first thing that really ticked Vince off with Oliver, was this Antonio Callaway and then him kind of leading the Johnny Manziel thing on. So all this lawsuit stuff all goes back to kind of this was the impetus of all of that stuff.
And of course, Antonio Callaway also had a credit card fraud charge back in 2017, third-degree felony charges of credit card fraud. So, I understand that Vince didn't want players with questionable backgrounds, but at the same time, getting Johnny Manziel would have helped. I'm not saying that they needed help per se in terms of getting eyeballs on the product, but it would have got more eyeballs on top of the eyeballs that were already there. I mean, their ratings were great. Their attendance was great. It's I think it's like shooting yourself and it's cutting off your nose to spite your face, so to speak. And June Jones, of course, said in early September leading up to the XFL draft that Johnny Manziel was on 5 lists, and one of those lists was his. And how many teams were there? 8?
Yeah. So it was in high demand.
So we're talking like 60% of the teams were interested in having Johnny Manziel play football for the XFL. And we want to say congratulations. Callaway has signed to a futures deal with the Chiefs.
That was kind of it's just that's why I kept talking about this, and I know you messaged why we just talked about, because there is a little bit more about the Antonio Callaway, because it's interesting. He got signed, and we'll get into the Jordan Ta'amu and the Chiefs thing too here in a second. But Callaway got signed to a futures deal with the Chiefs, and I was the one that messaged. I go, hey, wasn't this one of the guys that Vince was really mad about Oliver about? And everyone was like, oh yeah. I go, well, isn't that interesting, because it's also in the news right now that Vince is countersuing Oliver for the fact that he signed Antonio Callaway back in the XFL. So that's why it's kind of all interconnected that way. It's just weird timing that Antonio Callaway would be back in the news, getting signed to a Chiefs future deal at the same time where Vince is countersuing Oliver Luck for hiring him in the XFL in the first place. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's interesting to say the least. I didn't really know what the futures contract was about. I guess basically what it is you sign these players in the season or postseason, and their money and what position they play on your team, it doesn't count against your limits or your salary cap. So basically, anybody who signs a futures contract right now, I'm assuming. Oh, they're on the reserve. I'm looking it up right now because I don't know much about the futures contract, because this is a new thing that's been happening with the spring ball league. I think the futures contract is becoming a thing that people are definitely using a lot. Teams are definitely using a lot more. So I guess it doesn't count against your man limit because it's 53 men. You're allowed only 53 players. And then it doesn't count against your salary cap to sign someone to a futures contract. But next year, it does count against your salary cap and the 90-man cap limit out of spring training. Summer practices.
Yeah, it's a lot. But anyway, yeah. So it's just interesting to me, Vince is back in the news, the countersuit, the Antonio Callaway thing. There's a lot going on. The texts coming out about Johnny Manziel. Sorry to like legalese dump a lot of stuff on people listening, but there is it's a lot of it's a really fluid situation. We kind of thought that this was going to be done with that maybe Vince and Oliver were going to settle this out of court, but now that he's countersuing for that $500,000 plus.
This is going to be another 2 years.
Yeah. It just was interesting too. And we don't need to, it's the same article, but this story also made USA Today. So, I mean, clearly people ask, why are you covering this? It's the best. This is like new stuff. I mean, this is all, Oliver Luck, former commissioner, Vince McMahon, former owner. I mean, this is new stuff. I think people are interested in this, and I like to keep up to date on it.
Also, future signings. The Eagles are signing former University of Buffalo quarterback Reid Jackson to a futures deal and moving him to tight end. Interesting. They're doing a lot of things with the Eagles where they're signing quarterbacks and moving them, like Khalil Tate, for example. They've signed him and moved him to wide receiver. I guess they're doing the same with Reid Jackson and moving him to tight end. He was the former Defenders backup quarterback and led the Defenders to a win over the Battlehawks on March 8th.
Yeah,
why was he playing? Because Sharman Jones got hurt?
Cardell, this goes back to when Cardell Jones came out, had the good game, and then I don't know if you've ever heard about this. There was the Sonic movie curse where Cardell Jones, this is a real thing, where Cardell Jones won the first 2 Defenders games, and then or the first one or whatever, and then he went and saw the Sonic movie, and then he stunk, whatever, ever since then. And so in that game, they were playing the Battlehawks, and he came out and played the first drive and wasn't doing great. And so they benched him and they brought in the backup, and he actually led them. He was kind of like a runner. It was kind of like a Taysom Hill kind of thing. And he was running the ball around, but he's a big guy. He's 6'7", 250 pounds. I mean, he's a huge guy, moving him to tight end.
Makes sense. So we got to take a break real quick. We're not done with our XFL news. A lot of XFL news. Reid stuffed it. So we're going to take a break real quick, come back and talk more XFL news and more NFL news for that example, for that matter.
We got it.
We're back.
I told you there was a lot. Sorry.
You did warn me. Other news that's happening in the NFL, Dwayne Haskins is visiting the Panthers this week in fact-finding mission. Do you know what that's about?
Well, we talked, he got let go, Washington football. They said, the only reason we're even covering this, people, why are you covering the Dwayne Haskins? He was the backup that got fired, and then Taylor Heinicke got on. But we talked about it last week. PJ is on the Panthers. I don't think he's long for that world. I think he's gone. We just speculate on here, but it's very interesting that they would be talking to other QBs and talking about drafting the QB at number 8 in the draft with Teddy, Will Grier, PJ Walker, all the people in the world, and you're still looking for QBs.
Yeah, this is becoming a real mess in Carolina, and hopefully we can maybe soon we can get Sheena on to talk about all of this, because this is madness. What are they doing?
I know. I messaged her. She says she's still working through it, that there's nothing really official yet, but there's a lot when there's smoke, there's fire, and there's a lot of smoke coming out of Carolina right now.
Other quarterbacks in the NFL, Wolford, of course, was injured in a situation against Seattle by Jamal Adams. Some people say it's a dirty hit. I disagree, not because of my bias, but I disagree. He hit him with a shoulder, or he led with a shoulder, and then it gave Wolford a bit of a stinger, and then Wolford was taken to the hospital.
Yeah, we had our big episode last week leading up, hungry like a Wolford, all this stuff. And then I was working for the first half hour of the Seahawks game, and you texted me, you go, well, I go, how's John doing? How's the game? You go, well, it would appear that he went to the hospital. I was like, oh my gosh.
It looked like a seriously bad hit. And I mean, it's Jamal Adams for you. He's a bruiser. But the thing is, we say Jamal Adams is a bruiser, but you and I both had more interception. You and I both had the same amount of interceptions Jamal Adams had this year.
On a side note, so Wolford, AAF quarterback, right, played for the Rams. It's still questionable. They had Goff out there doing reps. I saw he had these weird gloves on because of his broken finger or his broken thumb and all of that. But Goff might get the start on Saturday against the Packers, which they tried to sell that on football this week that was going to be a game. I think that the Packers are going to
roll.
I mean,
it's going to be bad.
It's not even close. But anyway, Wolford could be out again. We'll see. Hopefully we don't jinx him again. Because the second I saw that, I thought, man, did we jinx him by doing our whole episode around him?
I think we might have jinxed him. I think that's the way it works.
Yeah.
So, moving on. Sorry, I had to stifle a cough there real quick.
That's okay.
Moving on. Jordan Ta'amu, again, released.
So he was on the Chiefs, then he got released. He was on the Lions, then he got released. Then he went back to the Chiefs for a day and then got let go again. But supposedly they're going to sign him back to a futures deal once the season. They're trying to make room right now for a wide receiver. For
a wide receiver, yeah. I'm hearing. Yeah.
I mean, this is world's most interesting man trying to track I feel really bad for this guy. I mean, this is up and down roller coaster world.
But he's getting paid somehow, some way.
Yeah.
These cuts, he's probably making a week-to-week paycheck, but that week-to-week paycheck is not anything to sneeze at as well. So I guess that, with a futures deal, he would be able to sign again with the team, wouldn't count against a 53-man limit. And then, he could be a difference later on next season, if God forbid anything happens to Patrick Mahomes. But I think that Jordan has got to stay there. I think that's the place where they like him. I mean, they brought him back after he signed with another team. So
Patrick Mahomes tweeted, Ta'amu, he was all excited when he was getting signed back. Mike Mitchell in our XFL Pipe Dreams was like, this was in that 12 hours or whatever that he was back on the Chiefs before he got let go again. He goes, what if the Chiefs and make it to the Super Bowl and then Mahomes goes down and Ta'amu? That would be the real Rudy story. Ta'amu comes out to lead the Chiefs to victory.
Wow. That would be interesting to say the least.
This is the Markcast. Sorry. What do you expect from us?
We're marking out right now. Former Dallas Renegades head coach and Oklahoma head coach, I should say too, Bob Stoops has been voted into the College Football Hall of Fame. So congrats to him. That's to be expected. They still hold him in such high reverence in Oklahoma, and that was really interesting that he retired so soon. Like it was just sudden. It was just all of a sudden he was done.
He's on if you want to, I'm not going to do it, but if you want to, he's on Book Cameo. If anyone's a Bob Stoops mark and you want to pay, like, I'm not going to do it, but if you want to pay like $150 or whatever, he's on there. He'll give you
shout out.
Yeah.
Speaking of coaches that retired, it's looking like Urban Meyer is going to join the Jaguars too. So interesting times with coaches saying they're going to retire, then coming back, because the pull of getting back in the game is a lot.
I mean, they are all in on Urban Meyer in Jacksonville. I mean, does he have they're really like, they haven't talked to anybody else. They're like, we're not courting anybody else. They are head over heels in love with Urban Meyer.
And I mean, I think Urban Meyer also at the same time knows there's one. I mean, he's dominated every single school he went to. He went to Utah. He went to Bowling Green. He made that mid-major. He got him into bowl games, and they had like 2 losses during his time there. He took Utah and gave him an undefeated season and had them play in the Fiesta Bowl in Arizona. He went to Florida, won a national championship there. Went to Ohio State, won there. Urban Meyer's conquered everything that's been put in front of him. I think there's an ego thing here. I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying that Urban Meyer would love to probably win at this level, because everyone talks about college coaches jumping up to the next level and not having success at the next level. So I think Urban Meyer wants to break that myth, and it will be good for his ego to know that he broke that myth.
Yeah, I mean, they're taking him out on yachts and stuff and doing dinners. I mean, I've been reading the streak. Ian's been talking. It's been a lot of courting there going on.
Moving on, former XFL Renegades wide receiver Jeff Bidet, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, signed a 1-year deal for the next year with the Washington football team.
Yeah, Washington. They said, hey, it works. Let's go back to the XFL. Let's figure out what's going on down there. And
the WFT, WTF.
Yeah, WFT. I still want a Heinicke jersey. They don't have the custom ones on there. I really do want a Heinicke jersey.
I think they don't have the customs on there because
it's probably going away. I know.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting a new name.
Yeah.
Your XFL notebook is available, or did it get sold again?
It got sold again. So we talked about this. Just this a quick note. We talked last week. Bailey Carlin had his former XFL. He did the social media for them. He had the notebook listed on eBay. Someone bought it. They didn't pay. So it sold for even more. He made $100 on it. So some mark out there for $100 got an XFL employee notebook.
Mm-hmm.
It was not me. It was not Dorothy. It was not me. But yeah, so just there you go. Marks in the world. If you bought that notebook and you're listening, hit me up. We'll get you on.
And Danny and Rock are launching a new energy drink.
Why?
With all the stuff that we're talking about, we're throwing that in there too.
Yeah, well, it's just interesting. It's called Zoa Energy. I will tell you, I watch a lot of Shark Tank. Energy drinks and drinks in general are one of the toughest markets in the world to crack into. Rock has already struck gold with Terramana. We really need another energy drink.
We really need another story about The Rock and Danny.
Well, I tell you, I will tell you, XFL fans get mad when they see The Rock doing stuff that isn't the XFL. So that is why I put it in there. It's because people go,
got it.
People get upset about this.
Folks, it's not happening till next year. The Rock needs to do other things. The guy sleeps maybe 2 hours a day.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
He's got 22 hours to deal with. He's got to hit the gym for 3 hours. And then he's a father. And then he makes a movie every week. Like he's a busy man. So of course he's not going to spend 24/7 working on the XFL.
We'll buy it. We'll do a Zoa taste test when that comes out. We'll do that on the podcast.
Sugar free, I can't do it.
Well, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll wear my PJ jersey and I'll do a Zoa energy drink tasting.
All right, we're going to take another break. Come back with some TSL signings and some fan-controlled football news.
Yep, lots of stuff. Sorry.
And we're back. Supersized episode. For some reason. Some TSL signings. Mason Bennett signed with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. He played on the defensive line for the Blues at the Spring League.
Yep.
David Grayson signed with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He played for the Alphas in the TSL. Joe Walker signed with the Ottawa Red Blacks. He played for the Blues as well. And Javon Durante will be suiting up for the Ottawa Red Blacks. He was also on the Blues. So a bunch of Blues getting signed.
following a lot of this stuff. Again, I do my best, but yeah, we're going to be following the CFL getting in there and a lot of these spring league guys coming in, and it's just cool to see, track them around, and it should be good. We're going to pick our teams and stuff here as we get the CFL going.
All right. So Mike Tyson, I guess, is out of the fan controlled football. Is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah. So we're in the fan control stuff now. There is a lot of stuff on this. So this was my own, and I was tweeting with a couple of Twitter guys about this. Fan controlled football has never announced this, but when they brought on Renee Montgomery last week to be one of the team owners for the Beast with Marshawn Lynch and Miro, I noticed that Tyson wasn't like, normally they would tweet at him. And I went on the fan controlled football website, and Tyson's no longer listed on there as an owner. So what I think is he either didn't want to do it anymore, or he wasn't pulling his weight or whatever. It seems weird because he's pretty hot right now off of that big boxing thing, right? You would think that like it certainly wasn't, that he wasn't, like, it was like he got into trouble lately, and they're like, hey, we got to get like Mike Tyson out of here. I mean, I think that's weird that he got pulled from, I mean, he was in a lot of the marketing stuff.
I think what's happening is you're seeing a lot of the owners tweet about their teams, and Mike Tyson wasn't giving that marketing to them. And that's why I think he was replaced. I don't think it had anything to do with anything else other than that. I think Tyson is getting ready for a serious run back in the ring. And I'm sorry, I watched the fight. There's no way that was a draw. Tyson won. I think that, that drive to get back in the ring is what's motivating Tyson right now. And he probably didn't have the time to market it. That's probably what happened.
But he's got people. I mean, I would just think, I know he's busy. I know he does a signing like every other week at that sports shop in LA. Remember, like every time you walk by in the forum, they're like, Mike Tyson's going to be here next week. Tyson's going to be here again.
Pete Rose in Vegas. Like he's at this one place in Caesars every weekend. And you're like, oh, you want to do something? Let's go get Pete Rose's autograph. Why not?
Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. He's not on there anymore. So it's Marshawn, Renee, and Miro supposedly as the Beast owners, with Tyson being out.
Awesome. They've arrived in the bubble as of Monday.
Yeah, they're down there in Atlanta. They're like quarantining them in the hotel rooms right now. So there's a lot of players with things on the floor in the hotel rooms, like running and stuff, like doing push-ups and stuff, like in the hotel rooms, because they're quarantining them right now. I guess going through the protocols and all of that. But lots of tweets about people happy about the food. And I don't know if that's a dig at the Spring League, but it seems really weird that a lot of people are like really good food when a lot of players just came off of supposedly not so good food in the bubble with the Spring League.
Totally a dig. Totally subtweets. Totally.
Yeah. I mean, they're like, who's ever in the kitchen? We got to get this guy. It's interesting to me that there's a lot of stuff going on with that.
The draft is going to be held on February 10th per Patrick Dees and Josh Davis. Yeah.
So
what draft? I mean, people are just picking their players anyway right now, right? Johnny Manziel's going to go play. What draft?
Well, here was my question. I tweeted this. I said, okay, so because they're drafting every week. I said the first draft is the 10th, and supposedly the first game is February 13th. I said, that seems a little tight to me.
Yeah.
And Josh Davis said, yeah, that's not a problem. And I said, well,
it is. I
understand that you might not perceive it to be. I'm just asking people listening. I don't know. I mean, I get that you're going to be shuffling these guys around. It's 7-on-7. It's, you're not dealing with 11 guys and all this stuff, but it's still I will be curious to see how the play goes the first couple of weeks when they're shuffling these guys. I would imagine after a while, maybe you keep some of the teams together because people, just vote, and you vote in blocks every week, maybe. So like, okay, let's keep all these guys together. But that first week, I don't care how much you've practiced. If you only have 3 days as a team.
Here's the argument that I have with this. And it's the one, I guess, knock I've had on this. It's the same argument I have with the people that are really pumping numbers in baseball. It's like there are intangibles you can't measure. And intangibles you can't measure in baseball are like the heart and the will and the drive and determination. In the numbers game, Curt Schilling would have never been able to pitch with a bloody sock. Intangibles in terms of team building are team chemistry. Mm-hmm. And what if we have chemistry issues?
Yeah.
You're going to work those out in 3 days? I don't know.
Well, everyone, I'll tell you, when the Spring League came back for that championship game and the Generals flew in to, Florida, everyone said, man, that first half of the game, they just did not, they were sluggish because they hadn't practiced together. They had done like one walkthrough. They came in. It doesn't matter how good the guys are. You got Brian Scott, MVP quarterback and all this stuff. You need time to develop chemistry with these guys. And so I will be curious week to week how that goes. If you're pulling guys and moving them around, it's one thing to draft them on paper. It's another thing to draft them,
Fan control football players are going to supposedly have nicknames on jerseys. He hate me.
Well, that was my little tidbit because why not? It's totally stealing from the XFL. I mean, you got Ray Austin. He was in the XFL 01. I've been tweeting a lot with the Alternate Football Scout on Twitter this week about all this stuff. That is a total ripoff of the XFL, putting the nicknames on there. Like, there's no question you're ripping. I know Ray Austin was involved with the XFL. What do you think about that, like, gimmick infringement with them? We're talking about trademark infringement. What do you think about gimmick infringement with the fan control football and the nicknames?
Did the XFL ever trademark that? Because if they didn't, then I think this is fair game.
Well, I think saying just in general, they're just ripping off the gimmick.
I like the gimmick. I've always liked the gimmick. I thought it was cool when I was a kid, and I think it's cool now. I think having nicknames on jerseys is fun. This is supposed to be about fun. It's supposed to be about the fans. And I think the fans will gravitate towards something like this.
What would your nickname be?
I don't think we should say that because we're not.
What? How bad?
Starts with an A and ends with an E. How about that?
Oh.
7 letters long. 7 letters long.
That's funny. Okay.
No. They're going to have a 1 hour running clock during games. It's going to simulate, like Madden and stuff. That's cool.
Yeah, that's news tidbit. Alternate Football Scout. If you're into any of this, fan controlled, any of this alternative stuff, I tell you, man. But yeah, I got the news from him about that hour clock. It's not going to stop for incompletes and out of bounds and all that stuff. So that's going to be a quick game.
It's going to keep the attention. Definitely. Not saying that people don't pay attention to football games now, but this is definitely going to keep your attention. Wow. And, how are they going to run? They got to run ads to kind of support this too. So,
well, it's on Twitch. So don't they have
oh yeah, they have sponsorships. That's true.
But I mean, does Twitch just put banners and stuff up? Is it
probably? They're probably in the scoreboard or something. They'll probably do that.
When you pointed out that soccer doesn't have commercial breaks that one time in my mind.
In your mind. You were like,
think about that. Soccer has no commercial breaks.
It doesn't. Jerseys were released.
Just this morning. This is fresh off the news this morning. Jerseys. Remember we voted about this about 18 years ago. It took them a really long time to announce it. All gradients. The Beast is terrible, and then the Zappers isn't.
Zappers doesn't have a gradient.
That's what I'm saying. They're left out of the party. They're like everyone else got the gradient. Hey, it's a costume party, and then they got the wrong invite to the party.
Another fan-controlled football voting thing is all 4 teams will make the playoffs. So the question is, which is the best way to seed the teams?
Yeah, this is the dumbest thing in the world. We need to read through this just because it's so dumb. This is what we're voting on now. It's voting just concluded for, is it a reception for 1 foot in bounds or 2 feet? I believe 1 foot's going to win that one. So now we are voting on playoff seeding. Can you break this down? This is the dumbest, most convoluted thing.
This makes sense. Okay, so the 1 seed plays the 4 seed, right? That's typical. That's how it works in every playoff situation. Yes. Then there's a gauntlet. And this is kind of, I guess, unfair. The 4 seed plays the 3 seed. Winner of that game plays the 2 seed. And the winner of that game plays the 1 seed. So basically you got a team that's going to play 3 games.
Yeah, no.
Potentially. I don't like that at all.
No.
I do like to pick your own adventure though. The fans of the team that has the 1 seed choose their opponent. They could basically go, okay, while the second best team is this team, our team beat the crap out of them when they played them. So we want to play them again. Even though they're the 2 seed, we want to play them again because we're better than them. And we've proved it numerous times. So then they play the 2 seed, and the 3 and the 4 would play each other. And the 1 seed would set that up to kind of depending on, they could win. They could easily, I like to pick your own adventure.
I think we're getting in the weeds here. I don't think people care about this. I would say, as every other sport has done it in the history of the world, that you should do it, do it by
1, 4, 2, 3. Yeah. That's standard.
I mean, I would say, but yeah, that's the voting right now. You FCFL.io or whatever to vote for that.
FCF.io. Yep. Coaches in the FCF, one that we wanted to talk about specifically was Drew Tate.
Yeah, this is interesting. We don't have to go through all the other coaches, but they released the coach list this week, and Drew Tate is on there. And people go, okay, who's Drew Tate? Who's this guy? So it was brought to my attention that Drew Tate, remember when we covered that whole Justin McMillan fight in the spring league like 18 years ago, and he punched the Blues coach and then he got pulled to the ground and all that? That coach is Drew Tate. So Incredible. He's back. He's back in fan control football. That's crazy. Do you think that's nuts? He got in a fight with a player on the field and he's back.
That's something else. I don't know. What was the decision there? Why was that decision made?
Well, I mean, I'm sure they're just bringing in like strength coaches and all this other stuff to work with these guys. But it was crazy to me that that was brought to my attention. That, hey, this Drew Tate, remember that? That was the same guy that got. We did the whole episode. We called it Spring League Smackdown. You go back and listen to it. But Justin McMillan, he got let go from the Spring League after that. They claimed it wasn't because of the fight, but we all know it was because of the fight. We all know it was.
Quentin Flowers signed with the Fan Control Football League. He was going to be with the Jousters, and he was in the XFL. So.
He was a big name. He didn't show up in the spring league. That's kind of one of the reasons why we picked the Jousters. He was going to be the star quarterback for them. And then I think his agent signed him up and he didn't know. I've been messaging him on Twitter. He's down in the bubble right now and he seems to be having a good time. But that's a big name. It's a big name for the Fan Control Football. People are really excited about that.
Other big names, Marshawn Lynch's little brother Devontae has signed. That's cool.
That's according to Alt Football Scout. That's not. I don't think Fan Control has put that out yet, but a couple of these have been brought to my attention from the Alternate Football Scout on Twitter. Marshawn Lynch's brother, and then Thomas Rawls, and I think you probably know a little bit about Thomas Rawls.
Former Seahawk, I believe he played for Jacksonville as well. He was in Jacksonville for a little bit too. So Thomas Rawls getting another shot at playing some professional football. That's cool.
And he was like they thought he was going to be like the protege for Marshawn Lynch. That was like his big.
That was the big thing, and it ended up not working out. So hopefully it works out for him in the Fan Control Football League.
So moving on. Big signings on there. Do you want to do it? Do we want another commercial break for the garbage segment, or do we want to just roll through?
Let's just roll through it. This was the problem I was worried about with Nickelodeon.
Oh yeah. So. Did you watch the Nickelodeon broadcast?
I tried. I literally tried, dude. I really did. And I'm not trying to knock it.
Yeah.
I tried so hard, but it got to be so bad. It got to be like you know how people complain about mansplaining? That was basically what I was watching. And I was just like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, it said I think so we're talking Saints Bears. I think 36 million watched it on CBS, and then they got 2 million on Nickelodeon. So that's pretty good. I mean, I don't know what SpongeBob replays get on Nickelodeon, but that's good.
It was good to expand the audience to a very young audience. I completely see why they did it. It just wasn't for me. Slime cannons were cool. I saw that slime cannons come up for a second, when someone scored a touchdown. That was cool. Did you see that? The slime cannons shot up when the Saints scored a first touchdown.
Yeah, that guy's famous in history forever. He's the first guy that ever got a touchdown in the slime zone.
So Cordarrelle Patterson dropped an F-bomb. We knew that was coming.
Yeah, Dorothy caught it. We were watching the game. She goes, that guy just said the F word. And so I went back and recorded it. And I said, that guy did indeed say the F word.
Mitchell Trubisky won the Nickelodeon Valuable Player. Is that
the MVP. Mitch Trubisky. The Bears are out of the playoffs, but Mitch Trubisky won the MVP. The only losing Bears quarterback ever to get the MVP from Nickelodeon.
He's not even the starter half the time in Chicago.
Well, but the kids don't know that. The kids were voting on there was a fan vote during the game was who wants to get the MVP, and Mitchell Trubisky. So he's the only player ever to get the MVP. So never let that Bears, when they Bears cut you now, Mitchell Trubisky, never let lose that in your heart that you were the MVP.
Speaking of former MVPs, Kurt Warner, unfortunately, has COVID.
What is with our life, Paul? We talk about Scott Van Pelt gets COVID. Back on the men. Kurt Warner had COVID. He also tweeted that he was watching the Nickelodeon broadcast with his son. I thought that was wonderful. He said his son has never watched a football game in full with him before, and they watched it together. So I thought that was really heartwarming.
Did he run any of those tweets by his wife first? Real question.
This is so freaking funny. So he was on the NFL update, whatever thing. They had him virtually because he wasn't on this week because he had COVID. He was at home. But he had they do their picks every week for the game. And he had like this chain on that was like the winner's chain or, like the interception chain or, the guys like wear all that stuff in football. And they go, "Oh, Kerr, I like your chain." He goes, "Oh yeah, my wife made it for me." And I go, Paul is totally right about this. He's totally whipped by his wife.
Yeah. I mean, you see go back and watch the press conferences when there were like quarterback controversies. His wife is sitting right now there next to him and she's taking questions too. And she's talking too. It's interesting to say the least. Friend of the show, Chad Johnson. He's getting married soon. Congratulations. Interesting.
I want you just to play this audio. There's no clowns this week in the audio. I want you.
Thank heavens for that.
It's a short clip. Also, happy belated birthday to Tsl Signings. He's 43 years young. He was born on January 9th. Just celebrated a birthday. But this is the funniest freaking clip. And then we can't forget we have to name the garbage segment before we go. Or we got to talk about it.
In relationships where...
What relationship? What are you talking about?
Man and woman. Or, man, woman. You know what I mean?
I'm going to stop you right here.
Relationships.
When any woman comes into my life, baby, what comes first?
Ooh. Okay.
Nothing else needs to be said by you.
FIFA. Chad loves FIFA.
I love FIFA too, but if I'm in a relationship and my girlfriend comes out of the bedroom,
no, FIFA.
Naked,
FIFA.
No. FIFA's going away.
FIFA. He's like doing some show. It's like, I don't know what this is. It's like some internet show he keeps posting on Twitter. But it was him talking to a guy. He goes, "Well, what's more important?" He goes, FIFA. FIFA. Nothing else matters.
Wow.
Real quick. So we have 4 votes I'm gonna do a poll this week. Real quick. I know you want to go. Renaming the garbage segment. So Will Purvis, your co-host of Will House, wants to call it Red Sox, like Red Sox Zone? Should we call it Red Sox Zone after like the slime zone? Okay.
Yeah, they're garbage.
Huh?
Because the Red Sox are garbage.
Yeah, okay. Dorothy wants to call it the Mark Castaways. Like the cast, my wife. And so she wants to have the sound effect be like Wilson from like Tom Hanks, like Wilson. And we could do that. Mine was going to be Reid's little nuggets of gold. And then what would you like yours to be? And I'm going to type it down here and I'm going to do a poll this week.
Okay. The stuff that annoys Paul at the end of the show.
Annoys Paul at the end of the show. Perfect. So we're going to do a fan vote this week. We're going to do it on Twitter. Reid's nuggets of gold, the stuff that annoys Paul at the end of the show, Red Sox Zone, or the Mark Castaways.
I think I've already got the winner.
Well, that's
I think people are going to vote for that because it's funny. People will be like, yeah, we know. You talk about it all the time. Talk about the Google Doc being 3 pages. We got through it. We did get through it.
We got through it. We didn't even go that long. We're an hour. We got through all this stuff. We're like 58 minutes recorded, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
We did it. We did a quick, fast episode. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate everyone for listening again. Of course, xflshow.com/review, xflshow.com/merch to get the very few items that are up right now. We're going to add more soon here in a bit. Just log on and buy some merch and support the show. Leave us a review. We appreciate your reviews. Chat with us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and search out the XFL Markcast. Chat us up on YouTube. If I see your comment and you say something like, the Phoenix Cardinals sell at the stadium all the time, you know I'm going to call you out for that because it's not true.
Yeah, please don't. Yeah, don't let your patronage of the show be dissuaded by Paul correcting you for incorrect statements.
Yes, we appreciate all your listeners. We appreciate all your support. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks.